Hi everyone, welcome back to our second module, that is nothing but regulatory and legal frameworks. Radiation regulatory and legal frameworks refers to the law, rules, standards and authorities that controls the safe use of ionizing radiation to protect patient, public, the radiation workers and the environment. It applies to medical imaging, nuclear medicine, radiotherapy, and other nuclear agencies and researchers. You can able to see various regulatory agencies at the international level and the national level. In the International Radiation Safety Guidelines, you can see ICRP, International Commission on Radiation Protection, WHO, World Health Organization, and IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency. And at the national level in India, we are following the guidelines of Atomic Energy Regulatory Body, the local regulatory body in India. When we look into the International Commission on Radiation Protection, it is an independent international body that provides guidelines on safe use of ionizing radiation. We have to know here that the ICRP is not an enforcement agency. That is not enforcing, it is just recommending. So the enforcement agency is there in every country. If you look into the Indian scenario, the Atomic Energy Regulatory Body that uses the recommendation from the ICRP and enforcing the rules. So similar way in US, if you see US Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and in Canada if you see Canadian Nuclear Safety Commissions. So these are the basic regulatory agencies which have for each country to enforce it, but ICRP is doing just the recommendations. So it aims to protect workers, patients and public from harmful radiation effects, issues recommendation regarding radiation protection, and evaluates information on biological effects of radiation and provides radiation protection guidance through general recommendations on occupational and public dose limits. So the ICRP guidelines for occupational exposure. So ICRP have recommended a dose limits for the occupational workers as well as the public. You can see here the occupational workers, how much should be the effective dose in a year. It is approximately 20 millisievert in a year, average over 5 years. So every 5 years it should be limit of 100 millisieverts in every, means in 5 years, and there is a clause which is nothing but 50 millisievert in a year should not be exceeded. 20 into 5, it is 100 millisievert in a 5-year duration, and in a single year it should not be exceeded 50 millisievert. The equivalent dose should not exceed for different organs. You can see here 150 millisievert for the lens of the eye, 500 millisievert respectively for the skin and the extremities. Similarly, you can make out from here that the public exposure, the effective dose of 1 millisievert in a year should not exceed for a public person. And you can see the annual equivalent dose for different organs including lens of the eye, this is just 15 millisievert, and skin and extremities, it is 50 millisievert respectively. The second one is WHO, World Health Organization, which is particularly provide health-based regulations on radiation exposures. The World Health Organization leads global effort to protect people from harmful radiations, and the WHO is closely working with the partners such as ICRP and International Atomic Energy Regulatory Agency, and it provides clear evidence-based guidance and technical support to safeguard the public, patients and healthcare workers, and it helps countries set standards. It also recommends build a strong safe culture and manage radiation risks from UV exposure to medical imaging and radiation emergencies. Another important agencies, the International Atomic Energy Agency IAEA, which develops global radiation safety standards, that is nothing but BSS, basic safety standards. The IAEA is the leading global authority for establishing and promoting radiation protection standards to protect people and environment from the harmful effect of ionizing radiation. The three basic principles that underpin radiation protection, which concerns justification, optimization and protection and safety, and it applies of dose limits that we have already discussed in the module 1. Justification: ensure radiation use provides more benefits than the harm. It should have a positive benefit rather than the exposure. So optimization keeps dose as low as reasonably achievable considering social and economic factors, and the dose limit set maximum permissible annual dose for public and the workers. The AERB, Atomic Energy Regulatory Body, the enforcement agencies in India, so which controls the radiation to medical imaging such as X-ray, CT scan and other medical imaging modalities which uses ionizing radiation, and industrial radiography and nuclear power plants, also the disposal of radioactive materials and handling of the radioactive materials, which all controlled by the Atomic Energy Regulatory Body, also the research aspect of it. And you can see in India, safety is governed by atomic energy, the Radiation Protection Rule 2004 under the Atomic Energy Act in 1962. Atomic Energy Regulatory Body is the national regulatory authority for radiation and nuclear safety in India, and it functions under the government of India and ensure that the use of ionizing radiation and nuclear energy is safe for people as well as the environment. So you can see the key features of Atomic Energy Regulatory Body here: licensing and approval. If you want to install a machine in a hospitals, you need the approval from AERB, and licensing is required. Also the licensing and approval is issued by the AERB for all the manufacturers, suppliers and the use of X-ray equipments. Also the safety standards, there is a regulatory standards for all the room design. For example, CT room, if you want to construct, there is a primary and secondary barriers. All the X-ray equipments, there is a primary and secondary barriers. All this room design, there is a particular thickness to be maintained with different materials that will be recommended by the AERB. So all the safety standards sets guidelines for radiology room design, shielding and quality assurance, and also enforcement, conduct inspections and can seal facilities operating without proper licensing. So the authority is AERB in India. And radiation protection minimizes the radiation hazard to the patient, operators and the public. And awareness and training, also the patient guidance. That's all in this session, briefly about the regulatory agencies and their role in reducing the radiation or protecting us from the excessive radiation. Thank you so much.